if we just look at English language education. Just look at English as a foreign language. As it is taught in schools around the world. And the one thing we can see that's the same as we go to lots and lots and lots of different countries and look at their English classes in their schools is that they fail to create fluent English speakers. I mean, that should be the most basic goal, right? That's the most basic goal of a foreign language, is to teach the students to speak the language fluently. Basic fluency. I'm not talking about super advanced. I'm not talking about speaking like a native speaker. I'm talking about just, basic, decent, everyday communication ability. And even though all around the world students are learning English in schools, for 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years or more, yet after all of that, most of them still cannot speak fluently. I mean, that's failure. That is total, complete failure. And yet, every school all around the world, they continue to do this. Well, we learned why in that book, Dumbing Us Down. They don't really care about education. Schools are not focused on education. They do not care about having great education. They don't care about teaching the students to be the best they can be. That's not the focus of schools. Schools are not focused on learning. They're focused on obedience, training kids to be obedient little slaves. That's their purpose. Make everybody the same. Teach everybody the same lies, the same values, so they're easy to control. And of course, then after school, this programming continues in the media, the lying media, TV, movies, and especially the lying fake news. So why do I continue to talk about this? I think you know all of this already, right? Well, the reason I talk about this, the reason I continue to attack schools, the reason I continue to remind you about this is because many, many, many students, all of these people who fail in English classes, middle school, high school, university, and then they still can't speak English. Most of those people blame themselves. This is why I get upset. This is why I have to talk about this again and again and again. Because so many people blame themselves, right? So many times when I was teaching in English schools, like in San Francisco or in Thailand, so many times I heard students say, "Oh, I'm just bad at English," right? They blame themselves. They thought there was something wrong with themselves. That there was something wrong with their brain, that for some reason they could not learn English. It was something wrong with them. I'm just bad at English. I heard that again and again and again, right? So they do, 8 years or more of English in schools, still can't speak, and then they think, oh, it's because of me, I'm the problem. They don't think to question the schools. They don't think that maybe it's the school that's the problem. No, why? Because they're used to looking up at the schools and the teachers as being the big experts, right? The authorities. So they blame themselves, and then often what they do is they just quit. They just decide, I'm just bad at English. I can't speak English fluently. I'll never speak English fluently, so I'll just stop trying because there's something wrong with me. A lot of people believe that. It's sad. It's sad, and it makes me upset. It makes me angry too, because it's not true. Now, the second thing I heard a lot from students was, instead of blaming themselves, they blamed the English language. So they would say, English is too difficult to learn. English is impossible to learn. It's so hard to learn English. And so these usually were the good students. So these were the students who maybe they got A's and B's, maybe straight A's, all A's in their English classes, in middle school, in high school, in college. And after all of that, 8, 10 years or more with very good grades, and still they can't speak English, so they don't blame themselves. They think, well, I have good grades, so it can't be me. So, and then they don't think again. They don't think to blame the school because they've been brainwashed, trained to obey the schools, to think the schools are great and wonderful. So what do? They blame the language. Well, it must just be impossibly difficult to learn English. English must be an impossibly difficult language to learn, or at least to learn well, to be fluent in. I heard that one a lot too. Like I said, usually that would be from the from the students who had better grades. They would often blame the language. This is also wrong. It's also not true. Now, of course, it depends on your language. For some people, English is more difficult to learn as a foreign language, right? If you're Japanese or Chinese or Vietnamese or Thai, then yes, in some ways, English is more difficult to learn than some other languages for you. On the other hand, if you're European, if you speak a European language, or if you speak Spanish, if you're from Latin America, well, then English is not actually that difficult. It's connected, right? There's a lot of vocabulary that is similar to other European languages, especially Western European languages. But anyway, in either case, it's not impossible to learn. It's not the language. There's no need to blame the language. And again, the reason that this is bad is the same result happens. These people blame the language. It's impossible to learn English. English is too difficult. And then the same thing happens. They quit. They just stop trying because they're frustrated. I understand that. Of course they're frustrated. Both groups are frustrated. The people who blame themselves are frustrated. The people who blame the language are frustrated. In both cases, they're frustrated because why? Because they've been trying and trying and trying for so many years and not getting any good results. That is frustrating. Because, most of these people really do make a good effort. I mean, they're doing, and by doing, I mean they are studying, they are memorizing, really working, making an effort every day, for their classes, for their homework, for the tests, memorizing the vocabulary lists. That's a lot of effort over many, many years. Studying and studying and studying for tests. Memorizing grammar rules, lots of energy, lots of effort, lots of concentration, many hours of study, memorization, effort over many years. So of course it's frustrating when you try really hard and you put in a lot of hours and a lot of effort and a lot of energy over a long time, years and years and years, but you still get bad results. You still don't really get a good skill, right? And with English, it means you still can't speak fluently. That is very frustrating. Very frustrating. It's why most people, eventually they just quit. They get frustrated. Maybe they blame themselves. Maybe they blame the language. But they just say, enough of this, right? I mean, no one wants to continue trying, and getting nothing back. It's just like investing, right? If you invest money, like you're saving and investing money in something, and you never get anything back, you're just losing money. Well, eventually you've got to stop, Right? If you're a smart investor, you just stop. You realize this is a bad investment. Well, of course, the same is true with time and energy. When you put in a lot of time and energy, you're putting it in more and more and more and more over a long time, and you get nothing back, no real good benefits back. Nothing really comes back to you. Then again, you realize, well, this is a bad investment of my time. This is a bad investment of my energy. For example, what if you tried an exercise program? You wanted to get stronger and you tried some exercise. Maybe you got some exercise machine. You buy it. You bring it home and you do the exercises every day. And you do it for, an hour a day. And then after 6 months, no result. You're not stronger. You're still not getting any better muscle. Nothing improved. You don't have more endurance. And then after a year, same problem. And then after doing this for 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, you're still weak. Well, if you would say, well, this machine sucks, right? This machine's no good. These exercises are no good. I'm getting nothing back. I'm doing it every day. I'm doing this effort and I'm not stronger. I'm still weak. I'm still tired all the time. That would be a really bad investment of your time and energy for exercise. We see this with relationships, right? I don't know, maybe, I know I have in the past had, some friendships, so-called friendships. Maybe you've had someone in your life like this where you thought they were a friend and you would, but they always had problems. They're always complaining. So you always had to give them lots of time, lots of attention, lots of effort with this person. And it was always just one way. You were always giving them. Maybe you were, helping them with money and giving them advice and listening to their problems. But it's always one way. You're always giving, and they never give back anything. Well, again, eventually you will realize this is a bad relationship, right? This is a bad relationship. A good relationship, it has to be both ways. Yes, of course, you want to give in your relationships, but you want to get something back too. If it's one way, they're just taking. They're a parasite. So, the smart thing to do in that situation is you cut that person. You don't need to be mean. You don't need to do anything bad, but you just decide, I don't want this person in my life. And so it's very logical, it's very rational that people, after all these years of these failed school methods, that they finally say, enough. I'm no more English. I'm tired of it. I've been doing this for 8 years and I still can't speak fluently. And all these hours, all this effort, I'm just done. It's a bad investment for me of my time and my energy. I understand that. I definitely understand that. The only problem is that these people who are quitting, they're quitting for a bad reason. They're making a mistake because they don't realize that it's not them. They are not the problem. It's not English. English is not the problem. It's the schools. It's just the methods. That's all. It's just the methods used by the schools. It's hard to see this for some people because, they start school when they're 5 years old in kindergarten. And then they're in school until they're 18 or 22. Or for some people, they go to grad school. It's even more, 20, 24, 26. All those years in the school system. Also, most parents believe that the schools are like the magic answer to everything, right? So many kids, they hear this from their parents for years and years, from a very, very young age. You must do well in school. School is your key to success. Not learning, not education, school. This is a mistake from the parents, but the parents are making the exact same mistake. So that's a lot of brainwashing It's a lot of propaganda at a very young age. So it is a little hard to break. It's hard to see through it for a lot of people. So this is why I have to return to this topic again and again and again and again, and I'll never stop. Because I don't want people to quit. I want people to realize it's not you. It's not the English language. It's just that you are wasting your time in school with a lot of methods that were terrible. It's the same thing, like if you go back again to this example of the exercise machine. Sometimes they sell those exercise machines on TV. And let's imagine you buy an expensive exercise machine and you use it for many, many years. And after all those years, you're still weak. And imagine then that you blame exercise. Not the machine, you blame all exercise. Exercise is bad. Exercise doesn't work. Maybe you blame yourself. I just can't get stronger. I'm just a weak person. That's the problem. No. Or you blame exercise in general. Exercise doesn't work. I'm just going to be lazy because it's useless to exercise. It's too difficult. It's impossible to get stronger. Also wrong, right? You see the problem. The problem is just this machine. This way of exercising is not effective. That's all it is. All you would need to do in that situation, in our imaginary situation, just throw away the machine and go running, lift weights, do push-ups and pull-ups. There are so many ways to get stronger. You don't blame yourself. You don't blame exercise in general. No, you realize, it's the method that was bad. This method I was trying is not effective. I just need a better method. That's all. So you look around, you find people who are successful, you find better coaches, you find better methods, and then you will get stronger. You will get more energy, more endurance, whatever it is you want from physical exercise. It's the same thing with English then, right? So the same problem. Okay, you've been, and I understand you were kind of forced to, right? This wasn't even a choice for most people because it started, for a lot of people, started in middle school. Some people started even earlier in school learning English with these bad, terrible methods of memorizing grammar and the textbooks and the tests, all that stuff. But you had no choice at that time, right? You just had to go to the class. They told you must take English. You must use this textbook. You must take these tests. You must do this. You had no choice. So for all those years, you really were not the master of your own education. You were more like a prisoner, right? But the good news is now you are the master. Now you're independent. So now all you need to do is just throw away those old methods and use something much better. Now, of course, I know you know this already. You're listening to me, you listen to the Effortless English podcast, so I know that you know all of this. But the problem is, a lot of people around you probably don't realize this. And I hope you'll share these ideas with other people. You could recommend my book. My book's a good place to start because it really explains everything. And you can get information about my book at effortlessenglish.com. And no, it's not English. English is not an impossible language. No, it's the schools. It's the schools and the school methods. That's the problem. The schools, the textbooks, all of it goes together. It's all one big system. This international corporate government bureaucracy system. That's the problem. That's where the failure is. So you just got to change the methods. Just say, look, just change your methods and encourage people just to try it. Try it for 6 months. Look, you've been doing this bad method for 6 years, 8 years or more. Try something new for 6 months. Make a real commitment for 6 months or 1 year for a natural method such as the Effortless English method and system, and just see the result. Make it an experiment, your own personal experiment, and you will see great improvements. That becomes very motivating. This is why when you see people like on my Twitter feed, people like Max and Mehdi and Carol and on and on and on, Hasina and all these others, you can see it, you can feel it, even just in their tweets, how there's an energy and enthusiasm. Why? Because they're getting results, and that's exciting for them. And so then they want to invest even more. When you're making $1 million a year, or $2 million, or $5 million a year, all of that stuff becomes much more interesting. It's a lot more fun to learn those things when you know it's going to bring you great benefits and results. Then you become quite excited about learning those things. It becomes a very fun, exciting, enjoyable, enthusiastic process. And so it is with English. When you commit and you make that effort every day, okay, maybe for a while in the beginning, you're not sure. It doesn't seem very exciting. You're not too excited about it. But then your speaking gets better. Your listening gets better. You start to feel and to see the improvements. Oh, now your motivation to listen, to focus, to concentrate, to learn will go up. It gets a little more interesting, a little more exciting. Then you improve more. Your ability gets better and better. Now it becomes even more exciting and interesting. And it just keeps going around in a circle, getting better and better. Each step makes the next step stronger. That's an upward spiral. That's what you want to create. It's just in the beginning for a few months. You have to use some willpower, right? Because just like investing, just like starting a business, just like anything big in the beginning, the results are not immediate. Even the best method usually will not give you immediate results, right? You start exercising today. Tomorrow, you probably will not be stronger. In fact, you might feel more tired and more sore. So it's not immediate. But after 3 months, 4 months, something like that, 6 months at least, you will start getting those good results. You will be feeling more energetic, stronger, and then that natural momentum, we call it, right? It's that energy that keeps you moving forward. That's when the upward spiral starts. You start getting the benefits coming back to you. You're seeing the great results. Now your motivation will increase naturally. You won't need so much willpower because you're getting excited about the results. So number one, you've got to get rid of those bad methods. Stop being so frustrated. Number two, use a better method that will succeed. Number three, you have to use that willpower in the beginning with your new method, with your better method. You do have to use some willpower, some mental energy to get started and keep going for the first few months. And then after that, enjoy the benefits and then just get more and more and more enthusiastic. More and more and more energy, more and more and more effort, and then better and better and better and better results.